Coleman, and guys, I mean, it's a casual Friday. We have
holiday weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all
July
for the
1st. Exactly. There's so many things to do. Nothing too crazy happening at all in the world. Just kidding. We're obviously starting in the association. In news that left folks a little shook yesterday, KD has requested a trade from the Brooklyn Nets. His business manager, Rich Kleiman, told Woj yesterday. So Nets GM Sean Marks is working with KD on finding a trade. Phoenix and Miami are two places that Durant wants to go, sources told Woj, but the Nets plan to make a deal that allows them the greatest return of assets. Talk about a swing. Look at the Nets 2023 title odds before and after KD requested a trade. At 35-1, Brooklyn right now is nearly 5 times less likely to win it all next season per Caesars, and the Warriors and Suns are championship favorites at 6-1. Freddie, I'm going to start with you here.
Oh boy, look out now.
Do you blame KD for wanting out of Brooklyn?
Blame is a very slippery word, and I'll use that because I thought the best description about this whole thing, Bruce Beck is a friend of mine. He works with WNBC4 in New York, one of the dean of sportscasters in New York City, and he said this is a colossal failure. And I thought that was the perfect description for what has gone on. 3 years to the day, when Kevin Durant left the Golden State Warriors, 3 years to the day later, he decides that he wants out, that he is done. So I'm not going to put all the blame on him for wanting out of Brooklyn, but I will say this. Kevin Durant, this is what you get for aligning your force with Kyrie Irving. And people can say, oh, Freddie, you're a Kyrie Irving hater. I don't hate on Kyrie Irving. But what's the old line, KYP, know your personnel? You got to know who you're getting involved with, your Kevin Durant. You decided to leave the Guardians of the Galaxy, known as the Golden State Warriors, a place that you left to go from Oklahoma City to go to Golden State because you wanted to play basketball the right way. And you did that and had a great run with Golden State. And then all of a sudden, you wanted to align yourself with a very mercurial person, not guard, but mercurial person in Kyrie Irving, who's always going to be about Kyrie Irving. What did you think was going to happen when you two guys got together? So we want to put blame on anybody. You can say blaming KD for wanting out of Brooklyn, but he should have known this going in, that the minute that you put yourself next to somebody as talented but is really kind of off kilter when it comes to Kyrie Irving, you can't expect the best things are going to happen, and Bruce Beck was exactly right. That's why this was a colossal failure, because he should have known better leaving Golden State than joining with Kyrie Irving.
I can't blame him for leaving something toxic. He understood where this thing was headed. He saw the writing on the wall. And a lot of people are going to think, oh, it was a snap decision because less than 72 hours after Kyrie Irving opted into his $36.5 million player option, KD says, I'm going to leave. No, the writing was on the wall for a long time. He saw that this was headed down a road that, he lost control of. I don't like that he's leaving knowing that we didn't get to see this thing through to where we thought it was going to go, where this team could win a championship together, where they had a big three that never got to play together in the NBA. That's sad to me because there was all this talent wasted. But as you had mentioned, Freddie, in putting the blame with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant knowing what he got in Kyrie Irving because he knew this person coming into this, I blame the Brooklyn Nets for ceding the power to their superstars. Think about all the things that happened dating back to 2019 when, because of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving's relationship with DeAndre Jordan, this franchise gives DeAndre Jordan that $40 million extension. They fire Kenny Atkinson because he wanted to start Jared Allen over DeAndre Jordan, and that would have caused friction with the relationship between the star players and the organization and their head coach. And then on top of that, there's the vaccine thing with Kyrie Irving and not being able to play in home games because he wouldn't get it. And the Nets were like, well, we don't want a part-time player. Then eventually they allowed him to be a part-time player. So I see a lot of the blame here going onto the Brooklyn Nets from my perspective because they allowed this thing to happen. Like, this should be a very cautionary tale to other sports franchises about not letting your players, no matter how good they are, assume all of that power and start making the decisions and calling the shots.
I was around the Warriors a lot in 2019. I totally understand why Kevin Durant decided he needed to leave. Not to mention the fact that he had torn his Achilles. I've been there when teams reach the end of their line. I've seen LeBron leave the Heat. I was there for that. I was there when he left the Cavs. I understood that decision. The big decisions that Kevin made after that I didn't understand. I never understood him. I never understood when Kawhi was out there, when LeBron was out there, when the Lakers, Clippers, Knicks were out there, that he not only chose Brooklyn, which actually had a great, they had earned the right to get a free agent, but he chose to pair up with Kyrie. I didn't understand at the time. And I listened over the following years as they explained themselves about how they both sort of felt the same way, but I never understood it. Because when I saw the Kawhi and LeBron options in LA, I don't know why he picked it. Right. I don't know why he signed that extension last year. I was with them when he signed it. We were in Tokyo. They won a huge game. He played a brilliant, brilliant game to win in the semifinals against Australia. I know maybe not everybody paid attention to it, but it was an incredible performance. It saved the U.S. They were down big. He carried them. And after the game, we're like, oh, yeah, by the way, you signed a $200 million extension. What was that about? I don't understand why he did it. I don't understand when he did that contract that not only did he go for 4 years, he didn't even give himself a player option. He looked at the lay of the land with the Nets and said, thumbs up, let's stick with it.
Right.
I don't understand that. On the court, I think he's just brilliant. God, I think he's brilliant. I can't tell you how my admiration grew for him watching him in Tokyo last year, coming off of the Achilles, playing for Team USA when he didn't have to,
Absolutely,
and carrying them to that gold medal.
Yep.
I mean, we saw Steve Nash last year hug Kevin when he helped them win that one game against Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Greg Popovich, the man with all those rings and everything, he was hugging Kevin Durant because he got him his gold medal.
Right.
On the court, I can't speak enough about how wonderful Kevin is. I've never understood his off-court decisions since he left there. And that is what set us up for today, because the choices that he made on where to go left him in this situation. So I don't blame him for wanting to get out, because he looked at the lay of the land and said, this actually might be the first good decision in terms of non-basketball, in terms of off-court decision. This may be the first one he's made.
That's fair.
Since he left 3 years ago in Golden State.
And that's completely fair. And here's the deal with that. I've always wondered what Kevin Durant is searching for when it comes to basketball, whatever that is. And you don't have to be the alpha male and be the best player on the team. Those things don't have to be the same. For example, the old San Francisco 49ers teams. Joe Montana was the best player on the team, but he was not the alpha male. When the New York Giants won their Super Bowl, Eli Manning was not the alpha male the first time they won. It was Michael Strahan and everybody else. You don't have to be the alpha male on the basketball team to be the best player. But I've always wondered, Brian, what is he searching for? Because he had in Oklahoma City. The franchise was his. Everybody in that city, everybody in that state loved him. Wasn't good enough for him. Saw the tea leaves, don't want to play this way, up 3-1.
That's why he and Kyrie got together, because they both won championships and neither were happy.
Right. Well, see, if you're Kevin Durant, you're a grown enough man where you have the quality of making the best decisions. You can't allow yourself to be swayed by circumstances when it comes to somebody else. If you want to get out of a toxic situation, I'm completely with that. Nobody should want to stay in any kind of toxic relationship. And to your point, Brian, if he saw this is the way the Brooklyn Nets were going to continue to go, also, James Harden looks like the smartest guy now, because James Harden said, I'm not putting up with this. I'm out of here from that standpoint.
You saw the writing on the
Absolutely.
wall. Absolutely.
And even an injured James Harden said, I'm not injured in my mind enough to stay or be a part of this, because I know how this is going to end. I'm just going to move up to Philadelphia. So whatever timing mechanism went off in the mind of Kevin Durant, I get it. I understand it.
Harden didn't extend.
Right. Yeah.
Durant's like, I extend.
Right.
James was like,
That's why it's maddening. Why would you make these knee-jerk reactions and then say, oh, man, why did I do that? That's what's maddening to me about a guy that's not dumb when it comes to Kevin Durant. But a lot of times, to your point, Brian, sitting shaking your head, go, dude, what are you doing?
Here's my question, because we talked about this on Monday, right? There were reports that KD was frustrated with how the Nets were handling Kyrie's situation, right? So do we feel like KD is more frustrated with the franchise? Obviously, it's because of Kyrie doing all the things that he did, but is he more frustrated with the franchise or with Kyrie?
Kevin, and rightfully so, I think, has gotten upset over the years when people have tried to ascribe and assume what he's thinking. So I'm not going to do that.
Right.
But I am going to say that I don't know how he could have been happy with Kyrie. I don't know how it could have been. So if there was a last straw, maybe we'll find that out. Maybe we won't. But the Nets decided, they made a decision that they would rather risk alienating both guys than yielding to Kyrie Irving. That was a decision that was made at the highest levels of the organization. They followed through with that, and this was the consequence.
The thing that frustrates me about this whole situation, because remember, Kevin Durant said he wasn't going to get involved between the organization and Kyrie Irving and trying to say one thing of like, oh, maybe you should give him this, you should give him that. No, he said he was going to sit out of that, and that was earlier this week. Yet it kind of feels like now Kyrie Irving didn't get what he wanted, and Kevin Durant siding with the player and saying, all right, to hell with the organization here, right. I'm going to move out on my own too. Like, that's the frustrating part, because it does feel like you're kind of backtracking on what you said you weren't going to do, which was to side either way, to get in the middle of it. And just from the optics of this whole thing, it feels like he is siding with Kyrie Irving because Kyrie didn't get the max deal that he wanted, the big extension, and there's no stability in that for Kevin Durant in being able to see this thing out long term. Like, there's a lot of blame to be passed around here, and we're going to be debating this for a while about all the places where this went wrong. Kyrie Irving, in the end of this, deserves the majority of the blame because of the decisions that he made. Remember, you hated my word coaxed on Monday.
Oh, no, I didn't hate it at all. I just thought it was really
like
good.
8 times after you said
it was fantastic. I didn't hate that word at all.
Kyrie Irving helped Kevin Durant make up his mind to come to Brooklyn. He didn't say.
I think helped isn't even a strong enough verb.
Like,
yeah, coaxed.
Coaxed. Okay, I'll go ahead and use my word I used on Monday. But so Kyrie Irving deserves the majority of the blame here. Kevin Durant cannot be absolved of the responsibility, though, for this thing becoming a failure of epic proportions. Like, we talk about the 2013 Los Angeles Lakers, the 2004 Los Angeles Lakers.